In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. Glory to Jesus Christ.
Glory forever.
I came across a quote by Marcus Borg in his book called Meeting Jesus Again for the First Time. That's a provocative title because it assumes that we still have much to learn about Jesus, things we do not know, and things we can maybe never know, intellectually at least. After all, the God-man is a mystery beyond the power of thought. We can learn much through historical criticism or Bible study, for example. Both are helpful, but there is another way of knowledge that comes from the heart. It is the superior way. It is personal, intimate, the meeting of heart to heart. So here's the quote. Quote, "Life is ultimately not about believing or about being good. Rather, it is about a relationship with God that involves us in a journey of transformation." End quote. So if our knowledge is reduced to the recitation of the Nicene Creed or a Bible study, we need to understand that through them we have only scratched the surface. For example, you may read every book available about Abraham Lincoln, but without seeing him and conversing with him face to face, and for a good long while, and many times, you cannot say that you know him. The four apostles in today's reading are seen at the very beginning of a journey into the mind and person of the incarnate Son of God. And it is a journey once begun that never ends. Our goal as human beings is not just to know about God, but to become one with Him, to become by grace what God is by nature. This is not done by reading sacred books, but by an intimate and all-encompassing experience of the living God. Think about any relationship, marriage, for example. Joseph Campbell, the renowned professor of religion, comparative mythology, and religion, professor of literature, I made that mistake, said that marriage is, quote, "the interview that never ends," end quote. I can assure you, by way of personal experience, this is true. Marriage reveals us to another human being little by little, layer by layer. We continually learn things about ourselves and our spouse that we didn't know. Everything that is hidden, as Jesus said, will be made known. Marriage does that, eventually. The mystery of the human person is as deep, or almost as deep, as the mystery of the Trinity Himself. Thus, the sacrament of marriage is, as all sacraments are, a pathway to knowing ourselves and knowing God more intimately, until God and us and our neighbors and our minds and our hearts, there is no longer an in-between. The overriding vocation of all things is union with God. As we read through the four Gospels, we notice that knowledge of Christ grows and evolves in those who follow Him. After 3 years traveling with Him, some of them finally begin to see a glimpse of who He is. Their evolution is gradual and personal. John becomes the beloved apostle, Peter the impetuous confessor, and Judas Iscariot the betrayer. We are not given much information about their evolution. Perhaps it is because the only evolution we need to concern ourselves with is our own. The question is, as always, what are we evolving into? Who are we becoming? What kind of evolution is occurring in us? You know, of course, that whoever we choose as our role model becomes the mirror of our lives. Whatever philosophy or ideology we adopt will determine how we think and act and what we become. In the Proverbs, we read this little verse: "Bad company corrupts good morals." Bad theology and bad ideology is even worse than that. They poison the whole loaf. So we must be careful who and what we choose to believe. We must be careful how we live and walk in this world. One question I often ask myself when meeting people is there something I can do to bring a little joy to this person? I think Jesus did that. He brought good news wherever He went and enlightened the people He met. So I love the question Mary Oliver, the poet, asks in her poem, The Summer Day. Quote, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" We can choose to bring comfort. We can always be kind. So should we not seek to bring light to the world? If we look deeply beneath the surface of everything, we will discover there is light. Julian of Norwich wrote that, quote, "God is everything that is good, and the goodness that everything possesses is God," end quote. That is so true. Perhaps we can find ways through our day to tap into that light. Jesus most certainly did that. Love and compassion is the key that unlocks every door. If we look for darkness, then we will see it. If we look for light, that is what we will see. Jesus puts it this way, "To the pure, all things are pure," end quote. The impurity we see in the world is always the impurity that comes from our own darkness. We would not notice it if it did not first exist in us. From within, not from without. So then God does not see impurity, because God is the fountain of all purity. In thy light we shall see light. Why do you see the speck in your brother's eye when there is a log in your own? The answer is because there is a log in your own. What then does our Lord see when He looks at us? I believe He sees both our tarnished beauty and our suffering. He knows that all of us are broken, not evil, broken. And that is why He came to save, to heal, and transform us, to make us whole and more than whole, to welcome us into union with Him, an intimate relationship of mutual love, sharing, and understanding. The love of God is not a legal transaction, but a loving embrace. We have but to allow it to happen. For it is the incontrovertible will of God that our suffering be transformed into joy, and our person polished, clean, and bright. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.